Riding with the Outlaw is a real documentation of the true chain of events that began in 2017 and ultimately set the stage for a story like none other. It's much more than just my story. It's my journey. It's not something I write, but rather something I live on a daily basis. Riding with the Outlaw is the true ongoing saga of a framed patriotic American, a patriot defiantly refusing to accept defeat, and in turn single-handedly taking on an enormous stand in what gives off the feeling of a modern-day David versus Goliath battle. It's a battle of right versus wrong, and good versus evil, against the corrupt, deep state swamp that has destroyed many lives, including my own, back in 2017. I put it all on the line, as there's no other option. The stand I'm taking is not just for me. It's not just for my girls. It's not just for my family. It's all of that, but even more. It's for the sake of America. Although my story truly started when I was born, my story is talked about on Riding with the Outlaw started when I was politically framed for a crime I didn't commit, nor could I have committed back in 2017. I was coerced under stress to plea out in order to see and ultimately get my daughter back into my life. The entire time treated like one of the worst of criminals for simply being a patriot and constitutionalist who took a stand to protect our constitutional rights. That, along with protecting the historical monuments and the state flag. To be honest, it was about anything which did not fit the progressive leftist agenda, which throughout the years has become more and more radicalized around the city of Oxford. I identified key strengths that were used, and used successfully by the other side. Advantageously, such as dedication to a cause, precision striking, and applying a steady and relentless pressure towards a particular cause. Most of all, resonate. Be loud. Being tame, silent, and politically correct is not the proper strategy, in my opinion, given the latest civil unrest and complete political division which divides our country. Unfortunately, it's far beyond a state of repairing. I don't see the radical left shifting right. I don't see the radical right shifting left. I personally believe that our country is quickly turning into a winner-take-all type way of life, similar to a real-life, large-scale version of tug-of-war or capture the flag. Something binary. Two choices, but only one answer. My answer back then, as more and more came under attack by the radical leftists, was to stand true and stand tall. Not to waver in my commitments, most certainly not the things I believed in. I was part of the silent majority, but I wasn't silent. I knew silence got nothing, only more and more lost, without so much as a fight truly being put up to stop it. On May 26, 2017, I was ambushed and arrested on the square in Oxford by 4 sheriff's investigators, Jared Bundren, Alan Wilburn, Scott Mills, and the 4th I actually more recently found out would be the Lafayette County Sheriff, Joey East. May 26, 2017 was a very ironic day, to say the least. Of all days, this just so happened to be my mother-in-law's birthday, whom I was set to meet just 2 hours later. Coincidentally, however, it was also the day after I sat down with 2 FBI agents at the local field branch office in Oxford, Mississippi to discuss a death threat that was reported to me. During that meeting, I also discussed a hijack plan that was put in place by Ray and Robin Tannehill to silence me and further block me from speaking at City Hall on the day of the election, June 6th. Ironic, given all the more recent developments of coincidences happening at the hands of FBI, who have clearly demonstrated that they have turned into a completely politicized weapon, and still are. I only sat down with the FBI because it was at the advisement of an assistant U.S. attorney I had spoken with on May 24, 2017. I put my trust, faith, and confidence in this complete blowhard U.S. attorney by the name of Bob Norman. It was his actions, or lack thereof, which earned Bob the name of Blowhard Bob. Blowhard Bob is a key character in Riding with the Outlaw, whom I've had multiple face-to-faces with in the course of my investigation to get to the bottom of everything. I was scheduled to speak June 6, 2017, right after Joey East, per the scheduled minutes that were posted by the local Voice, at the prior Board of Aldermen meeting on May 16, 2017. The current mayor, Pat Patterson, told me to put my name down to speak at the next meeting, which I did. However, this didn't sit well with Robin or Ray Tannehill, as the next meeting, June 6th, just so happened to be the day of the mayor's election. Not only that, but with Robin being for the removal and relocation of the Confederate monument in Oxford, along with her being a primary opponent of the state flag being lowered, June 6th was inevitable for some type of fireworks show. So in an effort to thwart any potential roadblocks and road bumps or issues, Ray did what Ray does best. So as Robin's attorney, he drafted up a cover page and a Chancery Court filing seeking preliminary injunctive relief. However, as shown on the initial cover page, he had marked it originally as Circuit Court, which I'm just about positive he will say was a mistake, and it always could have been. If there's one thing I've learned through life's lessons, it's this. If it looks like a pig, sounds like a pig, and smells like a pig, the impression most would have is that it's a pig. 99% of the time, that answer would be correct. And the other 1% of the time, it's someone who skates by on a technicality, in this case by labeling the pig a hog. In this injunctive relief, Ray actually stooped to the adolescent level, definitely not behooving of any attorney, most certainly not behooving of any seasoned attorney, by pointing out and listing constitutionally protected activity as reasons requested of relief. These reasons were reasons Ray had to have known were reasons prohibitive from seeking injunctive relief, and especially everything in general was twisted and conjured up in a false narrative type way. But Ray had one big trick up his sleeve: his influence. The same tool used over and over as an advantageous winner-take-all move for Ray. By law, I was supposed to have been brought before the judge within 48 hours to get the original bond. However, Lafayette County decided to hold me for 96 hours, 4 days, before bringing me to Justice Court for a bond hearing. Democrat Justice Court judge named Carolyn Bell gave me a $150,000 bond and refused to allow me to address the court to show that there was in fact zero proof that the state had, and I had complete proof of my innocence, which a simple bill of sale in my possession would show. The bond set was 3 times higher than the maximum guidelines set by the Supreme Court for a crime up to 10 years incarceration. The charge levied at me saw a maximum 5 years for alleged aggravated stalking, which the state then changed to cyberstalking. I didn't realize it at the time, but May 30th, 2017, the day of my bond hearing, was exactly 7 days, 1 week, before the incoming mayor, Robin Tannehill, was to be elected. I was never truly given the opportunity to prove my innocence, as this was already a known fact by the local government, agencies, prosecution, and accusers all along. The entire time, the state and county was grabbing at straws. This circus show had quid pro quo written all across it from every single angle. It further assisted the incoming Democrat Socialist Mayor, Robin Tannehill, effectively silencing and sliding her biggest and certainly most outspoken adversary out of the way. As a presumably innocent man, I sat illegally and unconstitutionally confined, receiving no bond reduction hearing, despite numerous requests for one. They had to make it next to impossible for me to get out, because me getting out meant their ship would most certainly sink when I got my hands on tangible evidence, the proof of my innocence, and further the criminal wrongdoing of many at this point who assisted. Not to mention build a solid case against those who plotted against me. I was coerced under fear and stress to plea out on July 6, 2017, coincidentally 7 days after Robin Tannehill was sworn into office as the 36th mayor of Oxford. Although I personally believe, with the facts and evidence of everything, that she became the first illegitimate mayor of Oxford. Even worse, I was banished from the city and county for the term of my supervised probation, 5 years. If that wasn't bad enough already. To cap things off, and in order to shield themselves from liability, the county had insisted on me signing a covenant to not sue the sheriff's department, any officers involved, any city or county elected official or employee, or Todd and Ashley Lynch. It's these reasons that are the primary reasons I reference to when being asked about my level of dedication and my refusal to back down. It's also these reasons which explain why I started on my mission of producing my story through the live ongoing documentary, Riding with the Outlaw. They all but removed every opportunity to right the wrongs done and get my life back, which was so savagely taken, and seek legal remedy. They thought they had every angle tied up. One big problem. Actually, two. First, I got off probation at half-time, 2.5 years. The second, the county opened the door and gave me every legitimate reason to legally bypass the covenant to not sue, when even more corruption started to surface, and the county refused to comply with a Public Records Freedom of Information Act request, when the Sheriff's Department admitted in the last batch of documents requested that Deputy Jared Bundren had received a mystery phone call on May 24, 2017, just 2 days before I was ambushed on the square in Oxford.
Jared Bundren! Hey, I'm here to show you how to conduct a proper investigation. I would like to, do you have a minute?
No, I don't.
You don't? You received a call on May 24th, 2017. I would like the details of that call. Jared, I put in a public records request. Why are y'all not complying with the public records request?
The 24th just so happened to also be the day before I met with the FBI. And coincidentally, the same day I spoke with Assistant U.S. Attorney Blowhard Bob Norman. 2 days after Ray and Robin Tannehill petitioned the court for an emergency injunction, which would have effectively barred me from speaking at the upcoming city council meeting. Not long into my discovery phase, I realized there was much more involvement in this plot than I originally thought. It became clearer and clearer that this was an all-or-nothing mission that I could not back down from. As I began to get closer and closer to the fire and found more and more government involvement and pushback from the same ones that plotted to frame me, silence me, get rid of me, and ultimately destroy my life back in 2017. This is my duty. I have an obligation. The oath I made to uphold and defend the Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic, is very much intact and alive. It's that and my children that are the best reasons of any as to my seriousness. I'm facing off against a fierce, well-banded, and determined enemy. That is for sure. But I am fiercer and much more determined. A race against the clock, and I'm a man, a patriot, on a mission in an all-out war on corruption for the sake of my children, my family, myself, and society. May the innocent be proven innocent, and the guilty be found guilty. And always remember this: when freedom is outlawed, only the outlaws will be free.